Hey guys, how's it going? I'm MegaGWolf and welcome back to the Sonic Hack Showcase. Today we'll be revisiting a hack we've seen before, but it's gone through quite a few changes. It was also the first place winner in the 2013 Sonic Hacking Contest, for those who watched the livestream video I put up. The S Factor, Sonia and Silver. Now first of all, I'd like to say I apologise if I repeat myself at all from information I gave you back when I originally covered this game, which by the way was the 11th of December 2009. Like, Jesus Christ, that's 4 years almost. I've been doing this series for 4 years! Anyway, I'm gonna treat this like it's a hack I haven't shown off before, purely because, well, it deserves the attention. It didn't win first place for nothing. As you can see from the word go, there has been a massive improvement when it comes to the art. Everything is lovely and vibrant, and it stands out amazingly. I might have a few issues here and there where the backgrounds kind of clash with the foreground just a little, but it generally doesn't bug me that much, so I don't bring it up too often. And I really liked the colours they've picked for some of the levels. Makes them all feel really different, like really standing out from each other. And of course what accompanies this awesome level art is pretty good level layout. Although I do have a few areas I like to nitpick. Mainly dick moves, but what can you do? Of course, when it comes to things like dick moves, and when I use that term I mean like structures that unless you knew they were coming would be very damaging from the word go, let's say. Sometimes, especially in later levels, it feels like they might be necessary, but it really depends on your view on good level design and difficulty factor. Like, is that one death pit randomly thrown there really gonna throw you off? Or maybe you don't like being swarmed by various badniks, or maybe just the occasional random spike that's in the air and I get hit by it for some reason. Overall, the level layout of this particular hack seems to hit all the nails on the head for the most part. Again, some of my complaints with it are very nitpicky, although I do have some moments where, although I couldn't tell you what moments they were, I guess, because the overall experience was really good, there were some moments I thought, really? Did you have to do that? But I guess the fact that I can't remember them specifically because the rest of the game is so fun and enjoyable, that's a good sign. And believe it or not, this hack is still work in progress. It's still being worked on, which means for all I know, in later builds, these little problems I have might be fixed. Now, when it comes to the soundtrack of the game, I really like it. I can't tell you whether some of these songs are original or remixes. I know some remixes, but I'm not sure about original songs in here or not because I don't know much about music, I'm not gonna lie. That's like my weakest element with this whole thing, to be honest. Though some tracks do disagree with me sometimes. I'm actually glad that they changed the original ring zone, or whatever it was called. The original track had ring collecting sounds all the time. Now it's only in the first act. So I'm actually very happy they changed that because that was a bit much for the ears at the time. And, although it's not in this build, because at the moment the super themes are actually a little bit broken, Sonia's super theme is totally Spies. It's amazing! Guilty pleasure alert, by the way. Also, it fits really well. Like, what the fuck? Now, the game itself is actually quite long. I do believe you can complete it, although truth be told, I haven't tried yet. There are actually some bosses that kick my ass, so I haven't yet to actually get there legit yet. There are currently 2 characters you can play as at the moment. Although there was 3 in the original version, Scourge is actually going through a few changes. And actually, the 2 characters, Sonia and Silver, have already changed a lot since their original version as well. Before, Sonia was more of a all-around character. I'd say she had the double jump ability, which was really useful. She also had the spinning spin dash, but she was meant to be more of the bruiser, more of the power type, more of the Knuckles type, I suppose. So now what she has instead is a spinning attack when you double press jump, which is actually really useful against spiked enemies. It seems to give you some sort of immunity. And then you have what I like to call her Tasmanian Devil attack, which is just you spinning around like crazy. Please note, this acts as a spin dash-like thing, so anything you roll into while currently doing it will actually be destroyed. This also includes spikes, which is extremely useful, and they've actually used that in some of the level layout to make it so Sonya can only go certain directions. It's pretty interesting. Another little interesting note about the spinning attack is it also increases your acceleration, which is in fact incredibly useful in certain situations, which I'll let you find out yourself. Though I am mainly using Sonya for this gameplay footage, I will show you what Silver does near the end, so if you want to know if he's been changed at all, well, don't worry, I'll give you a hint. He's not the bitch he used to be. He's still a bitch, but he's not as much of a bitch. So, of course, one of the other changes is, of course, the boss fights. As you can see here, here's one which is, interestingly, using a giant ring. Now, of course, one of the more interesting notes is that not all stages seem to have a boss. And I don't know if that's just because they don't intend on making one for that stage, or if they just haven't made one yet, and it's kind of just there as a placeholder thing. But I think it's interesting, especially with the amount of bosses that are actually in the game, especially when you get to certain other later levels. This boss is really cool, by the way. You should play the game to find out what it does. Now, as I said before, there's a lot of work in progress with this game, and a lot of stuff planned. You can actually tell what some of the stuff is just by going in the options menu, checking out all the sound tests and the various themes you can pick. It looks like there's going to be absolutely tons of characters to play as. People like, obviously, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles. They plan on doing Shadow and Mighty, as well as Scourge again. But it seems like there's going to be a cat involved as well. And although I'm expecting it's going to be Blaze, I am slightly hoping it's going to be big.
I want to be in this factor and catch a froggy.
Okay, well, I know it's Blaze purely because they have a super theme for her in the music selection, so there you go. Spoilers, it's not big. It's never big. Overall, I am incredibly impressed with the improvements of this game so far. There have been some minor and major changes that make a lot of difference. Also, do you see the animation on this flag? That flag is amazing! Like, holy crap! Oh my god, that flag! Oh my god, that flag! But I really recommend you try out the hack. It's a lot of fun. The bosses are quite challenging, especially this one. This boss is a bitch. But overall, I can understand why it won first place. It's very impressive, and I can't wait to see what else is done with it. But now, we shall go and have a look at Silver real fast to see what has changed with him. So, to be honest, there hasn't really been many changes with Silver so far. He glows when he flies now. I don't think he did that last time. He still sucks though. He's not very fast. He can't even spin dash anymore. But what he can do is this. He can use his psychic powers and abilities to be able to catch projectiles and various other things from enemies. It's actually really interesting, and you can use them as your own projectiles to be able to attack the enemies from a distance, as well as hold down the button and fling them all as a bigger projectile. This makes Silver a much more viable option, and not the original waste of RAM I thought he was. So yes. Still dislike him though, although I will like him when a certain changes come in, and I'm pretty sure Aqua knows exactly what I'm talking about. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sonic Hack Showcase. I hope you enjoy playing the S Factor, and I'll see you on the next Sonic Hack Showcase. Okay, thanks, bye.